Good governance applies to all exempt organizations, public charities, private foundations, charities structured as charitable corporations or trusts, small, mid-sized, or large charities, and in every jurisdiction within the United States. The basic policy package is our first package, and it includes a conflicts of interest policy and an annual disclosure statement. Now, the IRS has provided a sample conflicts of interest policy, but I think it focuses on financial interest only, so I think it's too narrow. It doesn't include the definition for a key employee, which I think is required in the Form 990 instructions. And it also leaves out some key definitions for determination for an excise tax under Code Section 4958. Now, the annual disclosure statement does a few things. It identifies the conflicts with board members and officers and individuals related to those board members and officers. And it also identifies conflicts for the 4958 excise tax, the intermediate sanctions. And lastly, it deals with other inquiries under the Form 990. The conflicts of interest policy is all about disclosure and due diligence procedures. The whistleblower policy and the records retention and destruction policy are important because of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. The last three policies, the disclosure policy, the contemporaneous minutes policy, and the Form 990 review policy are all really important fundamental policies to be included in your basic policy package. In the conflict of interest policy expanded version, we have a more in-depth annual disclosure statement by the disqualified persons. We delve deeper into the business relationships of the board, and of course we have to determine, which is one of the questions on the 990, is how many of your voting members of the board are independent. That's a highly technical term of art. Also, we delve deeper into the definition of who is a disqualified person, and we provide a disclosure statement not just for your disqualified persons, but also for employees. The next set of policies is everything you need to start an endowment fund, and that can be both for general purposes or for special purposes. And this includes an endowment policy, investment and spending policy, as well as several forms of donor agreements. So for those of you thinking about starting an endowment fund, or maybe you already have an endowment fund, but you're concerned about your current policies, or you don't have any in place, this is a very important set of documents to have, and especially because this area is fraught with responsibility and thus liability. Like the next set, the gift acceptance guidelines, which includes gift acceptance policies and the process to develop and document the acceptance of gifts, and that relates to outright gifts as well as planned gifts. And lastly, an in-depth set of checklists for the acceptance of certain types of complex assets like real estate, closely held stock, and others. So for those who desire to expand their fundraising, and they don't have policies in place, or they're more likely using ad hoc policies, you need to formalize the policies for gift acceptance, as there's a lot of liability and risk in accepting certain gifts. We'll review the charity's governing documents, the articles of incorporation, bylaws, or trust instrument, and any amendments. We'll review the board minutes and committee minutes for the last year. We'll review the most recently filed Form 990, whichever form, and also the 990-PF if applicable. And we'll review the IRS Form 1023, which is the application which you filed to get tax-exempt status, and of course the IRS favorable determination letter. And then we'll do an assessment. We'll determine your governance strengths and weaknesses. We'll analyze federal tax compliance and qualification issues, and then we'll spend an hour of telephone time talking about our findings and any recommendations. So again, we're going to work through a secure online portal, and this work will be done for a reasonably priced flat fee. If you want to learn more about the specifics and pricing of what we're offering, check out the following websites.